Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Dominate Law live Zoom panel, the AI-enabled lawyer. What modern legal practices now demands. I'm Ashton Rogers, and I'll be your moderator for the conversation tonight. We are talking about the growing role of AI in everyday legal practice, but with a very practical lens, how lawyers can use modern tools while protecting legal judgment, accountability, client trust, and the quality of the work. A few quick housekeeping notes before we begin. We are recording and you will receive a replay link after the session. However, do not let that make you passive. The real value is happening live. Use the Q&A button for questions you want from the panelists and use chat for quick conversations, reactions, and quick comments. I have my eyes on both feeds and we will make this as useful and interactive as possible. Today's panel is proudly sponsored by Equa Marketing. Equa is the marketing growth partner trusted by law firms and practice owners across 6 countries for over 15 years. Their work focuses on 3 areas that matter deeply to firms trying to attract the right clients: SEO and visibility, and conversion-focused websites, content, and social authority. In simple terms, they help firms show up where ideal clients are searching, communicating, and we can communicate trust clearly and turn visibility into actual consultations. We will hear from Equa a little later into the program. Before we introduce the panelists, I want to frame the tension behind tonight's conversation. A lot of firms are experimenting with AI for drafting, research, intake, summaries, and administrative work. But at the same time, many leaders are asking the right questions. Is it accurate? Is it ethical? Is it secure? Will clients trust the work? Who is accountable when something goes wrong? The firms that benefit most from AI are not treating it as a shortcut. They are treating it as an operational advantage, paired with legal judgment, governance, team training, workflow design, and transparent client communication. That is the practical center of tonight's conversation. Better judgment, smarter workflows, and stronger firms. Here are the 5 pillars we will work through tonight. First, the growing role of AI in everyday legal practice. Second, preserving legal judgment, accountability, and client trust in an AI-driven environment. Third, the impact of AI on drafting, review, and legal workflows. Fourth, managing risk, governance, and responsible use of AI in practice. And fifth, how lawyers can remain competitive as client expectations continue to evolve. Let's go to our panelists and into the work. And now, our first featured panelist is Jen McCarran, co-founder and CEO of Contracts.ai. Jen has built and scaled legal operations at Netflix, Spotify, and Cisco, and she previously served as president of the board of Corporate Legal Operations Consortium. Today, through Contracts.ai, she is focused on turning signed agreements into always-on business intelligence. Jen brings a powerful legal operations lens to tonight's conversation, especially around contract data, workflow design, revenue leakage, and how AI can help leaders make better decisions when the pressure is high. Jen, we are happy to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. And our next featured panelist is Frances Dupre, President Success Manager at Loft. Her focus is on workflow improvement, technology, adoption, and helping legal teams operate more efficiently in a data-driven environment. She brings a practical, frontline view of how AI is already changing daily legal work and how legal professionals can adapt without losing clarity, accountability, or client trust.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Frances. It's amazing. All right, you guys. Now we will be moving on to the main segment, which is the Q&A. So my first question goes out to you, Frances. Where is AI already changing everyday legal work inside firms in ways lawyers may miss until client expectations, fee pressure, or staffing limits shift?
So AI is already changing legal work long before organizations formally approve of it as an enterprise because individually, most legal teams use AI to summarize meeting notes, for drafting emails, for creating SOPs, for also accelerating research, training materials. And it starts individually before it becomes adopted as a whole. And then once it becomes adopted as a whole, first thing people think is we just want everything done faster. And unfortunately, you can't just do everything faster, even though you're using AI. You can do it a little bit more efficient and it can save you time, but it won't necessarily be a super fast pace. But AI is already adopted. Everyone uses it individually, and then it goes out enterprise wide within different companies.
All right. That's a great answer. And what is the first quiet sign that AI is already changing the work, even if leadership has not formally named it yet? This is a bit of a follow-up question for our attendees to get a bit of deeper insight into this.
I say already changing the work because it saves times, like I said, on research. You're
Mm-hmm.
able to use the AI, for example, if you're working on a contract and there's been some changes in regulations or rules and you quickly want to identify those clauses, you can use the AI to search the clause for you and you can go directly in and make the change that needs to be made.
All right. See, many different things that you can work on with AI. And the next question is aimed at you, Jen. So, when contract data sits in static documents, what breaks first for legal or finance teams facing a client question under deadline pressure from leadership?
Time breaks, productivity breaks. A lot of those questions, especially under a deadline, have urgency to them and must be manually mined out of the contracts. And what it leads to for finance is revenue is not recognized instantly. It's dependent on a very large manual process or extraction. Needs human validation. Finance can't trust forecasts because they have to manually build everything. And legal becomes a bottleneck for every contract related question ever, even the easier ones that you would hope by now would be answerable by technology but haven't been.
All right. And for some actionable advice for the attendees we have here, what is one contract data point leaders should stop leaving buried in documents?
Um all of them. Every contract data point. So much of what's written in that contract powers workflows around the business, including a lot of finance workflows.
hmm
And if you can get one, you can
hmm
get them all with the right technology, tech like what I'm focused on building at Contracts AI. So I think it's not a matter of just finding one; it's flipping the paradigm and turning the entire contract into data.
All right. Thank you for that answer. And the next question is for you once again, Francis. So, how do legal teams decide between useful experimentation and firm-wide controls when individual AI use is already happening inside daily workflows across practice areas?
So I think that the goal should be to make it a safe space because it's already being used.
hmm
And I think that legal struggles between innovation and governance, and they are both actually needed. So
hmm
teams should identify low risk use cases where AI can provide immediate value, such as drafting contracts, reviewing invoices, summarizing calls, pulling out tasks that you can do. But at the same
hmm
time, companies need to make sure that they have correct guardrails when it comes down to the AI because it's being used everywhere and there's no stopping it. It's just a matter
hmm
of how it's going to be used and the way that the company uses their security to make sure that it's being used the right way and nothing is being leaked that shouldn't be.
And for some more deeper insight, what kinds of experimentation should be encouraged instead of shut down?
I think that it just depends on the business needs at the moment because every business need is different. Some companies may need it immediately to read their invoices, some may need it immediately for their contracts. So it just depends on the business need. And that's something that the stakeholders have to come to an agreement on.
All right. And we already have a question from one of our attendees. So either of you can answer this according to your expertise. Are some browsers more restrictive in using AI for searching? If so, which browsers lend themselves to more thorough, more reliable, more integral searches?
Like web browsers?
Yes.
I don't know. All I can say is my co-founder is a ex-Google engineer and product manager, very googly in how he thinks and
Hmm.
designs and builds. And his browser, he says the best browser on the street is Microsoft Edge, which I can't believe he says. I don't know if that's from an
Wow.
AI perspective. He is an AI engineer, but I think it's from an all-around stability and usability perspective. His vote is for Edge.
Wow, that's a crazy vote actually, because usually people opt
Um,
for
yeah,
Chrome.
and usually Google people are into, their own products. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
which means it must be pretty good for him to venture
yeah,
outside of the ecosystem.
That's
yeah,
really
yeah.
interesting to hear because I'm definitely a Google guru, and that's like my first go to when it comes down to web browsers is Chrome.
Like even Googling something is a term used, so
Hmm.
it's pretty surprising. All right, so the next question that I had on the line was for you, Jen. So, what decision rule helps leaders judge when AI belongs inside contract workflows under pressure from volume, speed, or revenue leakage across business teams daily?
Yeah, the first rule I would suggest is if humans are manually searching anything in a PDF, AI belongs there. If humans are paid to manually search and tag the PDF, AI belongs there. Those are two huge areas that we're experiencing a paradigm shift in right now with the advent of newer AI contract tech, and those are no longer needed. And then from the perspective of revenue, if misterms create any kind of risk, financial risk, you can put AI there. If answering a simple business question requires reading through hundreds or thousands of pages of documents, you should put
Hmm.
AI there. The AI can definitely help. It's really, I come back to the manual piece. There's really, we've accepted the status quo of doing a lot of manual work, review, searching, control Fing, extracting, copying, and pasting into spreadsheet. It's been normalized. We need to uh, break that and not accept it any longer because it's truly unacceptable.
Great advice right there. And what makes a contract workflow a good candidate for AI support? I know you touched on this, but if you could go deeper into it for attendees.
For AI support, what's a good candidate for a workflow, a contract workflow?
Hmm. Yes.
If it impacts revenue, if it is has renewals, obligations to be managed, if there's compliance aspects that need to flow down to other teams to be managed, forecasting, anything deal financial related, those are good for AI contract workflows because we can now
Hmm.
get those deal financials read, understood, structured, tagged, and agentically flowing out into
Hmm.
other workflows or systems, etc. So,
Hmm.
um, and then the old rule of legal ops is if it's a highly repeatable and lower risk contract, those are ripe for workflow all day.
All right. And right before I move on to our next question, I want to pause here for just a second and share with you something that's really interesting and something our attendees would really benefit from. So, I want to pause the conversation because everything we have been discussing tonight and will be discussing is about building a more modern, trusted, AI ready law firm. That work matters. And there is one more layer that makes it land. The right people need to be able to find and trust your firm before they ever speak to you. Right now, someone in your market may be searching for a legal team that feels modern, clear, and trustworthy. The question is whether your firm shows up, whether your positioning reflects that trust, and whether your intake path helps the right clients take the next step. That is where echo marketing comes in. For over 15 years, Equa has helped law firms and practice owners across the USA, UK, Canada, Australia, Ireland, and New Zealand build visibility, authority, and stronger client acquisition systems. For today's attendees, Equa is offering a complimentary 45-minute strategy session and marketing audit, normally valued at $900. You walk away with AI ready client positioning, a visibility and trust review, intake and conversion opportunities, and practical growth roadmaps tailored to your firm. You can visit the QR code on the slide or visit www.dominatelaw.com/MSM or click the link in the chat. It takes under a minute to reserve your spot, and there is no commitment. It is simply a focused next step if your firm is ready to market modern legal services with clarity, trust, and authority. With that, let's come back to our panel. But what do our panelists think about that offer? A $900 session for free.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Definitely a good deal.
Definitely a good deal. Amazing. And now, once again, my next question will be for Francis. At Meta Kickoff, what conversation sets the boundary between approved AI support and work requiring direct lawyer review before tasks are assigned to staff?
The most important conversation is not the technology itself, it's about accountability. At Matter Kickoff, teams need to define what tasks AI may assist with, what information is being entered to approved tools, what outputs require human validation, who's responsible for the final judgment, and when attorneys need to review mandatory before advice, recommendations, or communication is being done. AI has certain capabilities, but it's not a decision maker. And since AI is not the decision maker, the prep work has to be done. And legal professionals remain accountable for legal analysis, risk, negotiations, and final decisions. So establishing those boundaries and those expectations ahead of time is the conversations that need to happen.
All right. And to address a challenge, what boundary is most often unclear to staff until a mistake happens? Like, what have you noticed?
Who owns the certain task? Is it legal? Is it procurement? Is it legal operations? Sometimes that is the biggest issue, and you don't figure this out until, like you said, there's a problem. So then it's pointing fingers, trying to have conversations and pull everyone in and figure out who takes ownership when that conversation should have been done at the beginning.
Proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
Exactly. And Jen, this question is geared towards you. When AI summaries miss contract context, who feels the failure first during renewal talks with sales, finance, or the client under budget pressure today?
Possibly legal, although I don't know a lot of places relying on contract summaries that they didn't build themselves by hand. Getting really good AI contract summaries is a very new phenomenon inside the contract technology stack. So, yeah, I don't know of a lot of folks who worked off of contract summaries, but I think legal would feel it first and potentially counterparts in finance.
Got it. And Francis, for you, which observable behavior tells leaders that AI governance is becoming daily practice rather than a policy document in busy legal teams under workload pressure?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that it already is because, as I said previously, everyone uses it in daily lives, whether it's to edit and revise an email, to read a contract. Some college students use it when they're working on papers. Paralegals and attorneys use it for research or if they're citing cases. So this is already everyday use.
All right. And for some actionable advice, what is one team ritual that keeps governance practical? What would you say?
I'd say knowing when and what information to use when you're using the AI. Because you have to, when you're using it personally, there's certain information that's up to you if you want to use it or not. But then when you're using it professionally, you have to make sure that you're protecting your company.
Of course. And Jen, do you want to hop on that answer and add anything onto it?
Like general practical advice?
Yes, general advice.
Yeah, when it comes to solving with AI, start with the problem and define actual business outcomes that you or the department want and need to see first. It's very easy to go shopping and see products and then suddenly align your outcomes to what their options are. And it's good to kind of take inventory of your own problems first so you can solve, I don't know, correctly or relevantly.
Relevantly. They say don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry.
That too.
And the next question that I had lined up for you, Jen, was which pricing rule helps firms handle AI-assisted work when time saved no longer matches value delivered to clients in recurring contract matters at scale?
Yeah, there's a long-standing debate going on the hourly rate that law firms make money under, that financial construct, and trying to legal ops folks have been trying to shift the narrative with legal leadership to more of a fixed fee or non-hourly rate financial arrangement with law firms. AI can compress a lot of effort that law firms charge for, and it should compress effort, but how do you reflect that in hourly billing? It all points to outcomes-based pricing. I just don't know that it's happening or happening fast enough. Perhaps AI will accelerate those conversations and make this hourly billing thing less defensible. But I don't know. I'm not anti hourly billing. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think law firms do that. I sell software. I build and sell software now, and the most important thing I can do is create value for the customer, demonstrate that, and then give them that value in exchange for money. I think that goes for anyone, including law firms, as the most important thing. What business value did you create for your clients today? And then how do you have a financial arrangement that reflects that?
All right. So we did get through most of the questions I had ready for today quite fast. So here's some quick rapid fire questions for the two of you. So the first one is for you, Francis. So some staff may be excited about AI while attorneys are more cautious. How do you keep that tension productive instead of turning it into a culture fight?
I believe having conversations, and showing the value in using the AI, and
Mm-hmm,
also having a clear understanding that when you're using AI, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out. So you have to make
mm-hmm,
sure the information, the prompts, the data, all of that is clean. Make
mm-hmm,
sure you understand your foundation, your workflows, because if you don't already have that, if you can't explain it prior to implementing any type of AI, it's going to fail and it's going to be a problem. So I don't think it's necessarily a conversation of who wants to use AI more and who's more cautious, but more so of where are we at as a business when it comes down to our roles, our responsibilities, and our workflows and our data. And once we have that clean, then any AI
mm-hmm,
that we implement or we use is going to give us the results that we're looking for. So it starts with the
mm-hmm.
background foundation first.
Background foundation. All right. And for you, Jen, if a firm is still using contracts mostly as PDFs in folders, what is the first contract data win they should chase before buying another tool?
They should put contract intelligence. They should evaluate putting in contract intelligence around those PDFs and folders.
Mm-hmm,
For many years, what lawyers and law professionals in-house needed was search and the ability to get stuff out of the contracts, and then they were sold lifecycle tools that handle intake and workflow and doc generation and approvals and signature and landing in a repository, and then have a very poor search.
mm-hmm,
The search piece is coming online now in a big way thanks to the generative AI movement. And
mm-hmm,
so I would say don't kill a fly with a cannon. Drill down again to what I said earlier, what is really needed, what's the biggest pain point around contracting. If it is workflow, go get yourself the workflow tool or the lifecycle tool. If it's repository and search and mass search and intelligence coming out beyond control F search, consider the contract intelligence players like us in the market that can help turn static PDFs into data.
mm-hmm. All right. And now I just wanted to open up the Q&A for our audience here. And there are two ways to participate in this. You can raise your hand if you would like to ask your question live, or you can type your question into the Q&A box. And if you would prefer to ask anonymously, that is completely fine as well. Just use the Q&A button, and when you write your question, try to include your role and the specific problem you're facing. For example, law firm owner unsure how to approve AI use for drafting, or legal operations manager struggling to get consistent review checkpoints. That context helps our panel answer your question in a much more meaningful and practical way. If we do not get to your question tonight, don't worry at all. Send it to the Dominate Law team and we will follow up. And now, panelists, I may direct questions to one person first, or you guys can jump in and just answer whenever I read out the question. So, yeah, let's check on if we have some questions from anybody in the chat. And yes, we have one question that has come in. So, it's the same question that was asked before. It's right here. So, Jen, you mentioned that it was Microsoft Edge, right? Anything else that you have experienced personally in terms of using this?
In terms of using Edge?
Any browser, like what when you use a browser for AI?
No, I really have nothing to say there. Maybe I'm not
Hmm.
smart enough to think about it through a browser lens, but I use Chrome or Edge, and they're both pretty great and enable a lot of plugins within the
Hmm.
browsers.
Yeah. And Francis, anything to add on to that question? So the question was, are some browsers better for AI searches for reliability, thoroughness, and authenticity?
I'm more of a Chrome user, so that's what I mainly use. Edge
Hmm.
is good too. I mean, I don't have too many difficulties with it. I just prefer Chrome over Edge. But when it comes down specifically to a browser perspective, as Jen said, I honestly haven't looked at it that way. So I'm not really sure how to speak to that.
Mhm. All right. So it seems that we don't have any questions here right now. And yeah, we are coming into the final home stretch. I want to ask each panelist for your 60-second golden rule for building an AI-enabled law firm without losing judgment, accountability, or client trust. Francis, let's start with you, then Jen. So, what do you have to say? Just one sentence for the attendees here to leave tonight.
So, my golden rule when it comes down to building anything AI, as I mentioned earlier, just make sure everything that you put into it is clean. When you're drafting prompts and you want specific outputs, make sure that you're as specific as you can be, because the AI is not human, and you may be looking for a specific answer and it's not going to tailor it the way you want because you weren't detailed enough. So just be very particular and detailed about all of the information that you're putting in and have realistic expectations. It can't solve
Mhm.
every problem and it can't do anything in lightning speed. So you need to have realistic expectations. The bots, they make mistakes too because they're not perfect. So just keeping all of that in mind is what I would say.
Mhm. And Jen, from you?
Sure. Before I put technology in, working at companies like Netflix and other big tech companies, I spent a lot more time understanding the current process in place inside that team, that law practice area, the department, or cross-functionally. By the way, I don't know how to build anything in the law firm. I've never worked in a law firm, but I've worked in in-house legal departments inside companies, so I know how to build there. I'm also not a lawyer, so I can't tell anyone how to be an AI enabled lawyer, but hopefully there's some tips that translate from today's session. But I spent a lot of time focused on defining the process and understanding how information communication data moves, and then engineering a new process or the desired process. And vis-a-vis, part of that could be a tech solution. So it always pays to get that all down on paper first before you just take AI or any technology and throw it at it, a problem, and expect it to have a meaningful change or improvement in the workflow.
Hmm. And we have actually one question coming in from the Q&A. So the question is, what types of code in your experience are most useful, suitable for AI? For example, family code, any experience with AI?
So I can't speak to that because I'm not an attorney. I work in
Hmm.
house legal and now I work on the vendor side. So I don't have that experience. So I'm sorry, I can't be more helpful.
Yeah, what was it?
Hmm.
Code? Like CODE code?
No, court, COURT.
Court? Yeah, no
Yeah.
idea. I'm not an attorney, and that feels like something geared for an attorney and or an attorney who's local to wherever
Hmm.
they are.
Hmm. And another question that has come in, can AI be useful for social security disability cases?
Those are attorney questions and we're not
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
answer that.
Francis and I put in technology and help companies bring contract AI tech to bear. These are
Hmm.
very, very specific about law practice.
Law practices, yes,
Mhm.
and geared towards attorneys. Yes. All right. So thank you very much for those golden rules from you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it from the Q&As as well. So yeah, as we close, the big takeaway is this. AI is not just a technology conversation for lawyers. It is a judgment, workflow, governance, client trust, and competitiveness conversation. When you exit the webinar, you should see the feedback survey appear in your browser. Please take a moment to complete it. It helps us make these sessions sharper and more useful for you. And yeah, to our panelists, Jen and Francis, thank you for your time, your expertise, and your presence here tonight. Please do take this from me. You have been great here. And I know even though you guys are not attorneys, you have geared these answers greatly towards law practices and law firms. And to everyone who joined us live, thank you for spending the time with us. I'm Ashton Rogers with Dominate Law, and we will see you at the next Dominate Law panel. Good night for now, and see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.